Hello everyone, I am the Enderbrony, and I will be reading Scootaloo, Where Are Your Parents? By Menashe Jones. Let's get started. The wind in her mane, the adrenaline buzzed in her veins, the blood pumping so hard she could feel it in her ears. No mistake, Scootaloo loved this. I can't believe I'm actually flying, she crowed, pulling a loop-de-loop. Believe it, kid, Rainbow Dash proclaimed, racing alongside her. You train with me, you get the best. Thank you so much, Rainbow Dash. I'm so glad you're my honorary big sister. How about I be your honorary first race? Starts now! Rainbow disappeared, leaving a colorful contrail. Scootaloo narrowed her eyes, stuck out her tongue, and twisted in midair. Her wing muscles kicked into high gear, and she was off. Within seconds, she came alongside Rainbow, who flashed a proud smile at Scootaloo. Not bad, Rainbow called. Not bad, Scootaloo asked. Not bad, Scootaloo asked. Wait till I really cut loose. Scootaloo's wings blurred even faster, and she shot forward, a mini Pegasus missile. No way, Rainbow yelled, laughing. She pushed ahead and caught up with Scootaloo, clapping appreciatively. That was impressive, Scootaloo. Looks like I don't train you. We train together. Scootaloo's eyes grew as wide as saucers as she gazed up in awe at her mentor, her big sister, her forever idol, Rainbow Dash. Hey, Squirt, you okay? Better than okay, Scootaloo said dreamily. I'm your training partner. Your what now? Huh? Scootaloo blinked at the sky, but her wings didn't feel free and fast. They felt cramped and crushed. She blinked again and realized she wasn't zooming along at near sonic rainbow speeds. She was laying on the ground, feeling dizzy. Rainbow Dash stood over her, holding her helmet. There you are, Rainbow said, sighing in relief. She smiled at Scootaloo. That was a hay of a fall you took there, kid. Almost as impressive as some of mine. I fell? Scootaloo asked, rubbing her head. Yup, good thing you had your helmet on, too. This could have been your head. Scootaloo stared at the helmet Rainbow held out to her. An impressive crack went almost from one side to the other. Could you imagine it? Rainbow said, pulling the helmet back, inspecting the damage. Your skull, all open and with, like, insides all outside? She whistled. You're one lucky filly, Scootaloo. Scootaloo? Looking back up from the helmet, Rainbow found Scootaloo had passed back out. Once she came around a second time, and Rainbow was sure she wouldn't pass out again, Scootaloo started walking home. Rainbow kept her company like she always did on the first part of the trip. I still can't believe I took a header like that. I've done that scooter trick 1,000 times before, Scootaloo said, looking over her beloved helmet. The crack was jagged and split it nearly in two. Scootaloo could just make out the impact point where her head must have smashed against the rock. She sighed. She really liked her helmet too. It was part of her style. It looked like she would have to stop pushing the aerial part of that trick until she figured out where she went wrong. That's the reason fillies wear safety gear, kiddo, Rainbow said sagely. Till you learn how to take a fall, we can't take chances. No kidding, Scootaloo replied, hanging her helmet on her scooter, which she pushed along slowly. Look on the bright side. We didn't have to do a hospital run. That would have been awkward. Bad way to meet your folks, you know. Yeah, Scootaloo said. But no harm done. Just make sure you get that thing replaced. They came to the crossroads where Rainbow and Scootaloo usually parted ways. Rainbow looked at Scootaloo seriously, her expression softening. Hey, kid, you want me to walk you the rest of your way home? Talk it over with your parents? No! Scootaloo yelped. Who's flailing? Rainbow winced, but before she could say anything, Scootaloo launched back in. I mean, I'm good. You don't need to do that for me. Thanks for another awesome day, Rainbow Dash. Well, no. Scootaloo then hugged her tightly and took off down the road. Problem, Rainbow said, left in a unique position, standing in somebody else's dust. Standing in a more familiar position atop the rain cloud over Sweet Apple Acres, Rainbow watched, waiting for Applejack's signal. Applejack pointed at the tree in front of her, and Rainbow scooted the cloud over it. 10 seconds should do it, Applejack said. Rainbow hopped off the cloud, releasing a brief shower on another one of the apple family's prized apple trees. "Thank you for doing this, Rainbow," she said, inspecting the bark of each tree as she walked. "I know you've been busy lately, and I appreciate it." "Ain't no thing," Rainbow said, pushing the cloud along and following Applejack from above. "Besides, we haven't really hung out since I took on Scootaloo as a little sister." "I've noticed. Can't say I mind getting bumped for an honorary little sis." Applejack smiled, looking over the hill at Applebloom, helping Big Macintosh push a barrel up towards the barn. "Family, even honorary family, is mighty important. Yeah, it's been pretty cool. She helps me with training, I show her some stuff about flying. Makes me wish I'd had a little sister years ago." Applejack chuckled. "Somehow, I don't think it works like that." "It should. She's my own little cheering squad. I mean, I know when my parents stopped me. After you've had all this awesome, it's hard to bring in another kid to compete." "Uh-huh," Applejack said, rolling her eyes and smiling. She pointed at the tree and said, "Just 20 seconds." Rainbow kicked the cloud and it started to rain. It stopped when Rainbow kicked again. Wait, so clouds are like an on-off switch? That wouldn't... What? Because, like, when you kick it the first time, it jostles all the rain out, and apparently you can stop it? Whatever. Rainbow kicked the cloud, and it started to rain. It stopped when Rainbow kicked again. "Still, Scootaloo's pretty awesome." She leaned against the cloud, furrowing her brow. "Even if I don't know where she lives." "Huh?" Applejack said, turning to her friend. "Yeah," Rainbow replied. "No clue. I didn't even realize it till yesterday. See, she took a pretty bad fall. Her helmet saved her, so no worries there. But when I offered to run her home, she was all, 'No way,' and took off before I could say anything." Checking the cloud over to ensure it still had plenty of water, she added, "And when I was going back to my house, it just occurred to me. I don't know where she lives or who her parents are." Applejack paused to consider this. "You know, I can't rightly say I know either," she said. "Any time I've seen her, she's already with Applebloom and Sweetie Belle." She shook her head. "You should talk to her folks, though. Especially if she's taking pills, like you said. We need to know who to contact in case there's an emergency." "Why don't you do it?" Rainbow asked, following Applejack to the next tree. "Love to," Applejack replied, sizing it up. "But I'm in full swing these days with the farm. Don't even have time for personal Pinkie Pie. What I'm doing with you, this is most sociable I've been all week, not counting family." "Whoa, you are busy." "Don't I know it? Just a few drops if you can." Rainbow nudged the clouds just enough, and a smatter of water pelted the tree. "Plus, you should make sure her parents are fine with you being an honorary sister and all," Applejack said. "I know if Applebloom wanted to spend time with another grown mare, unlikely as that may be, I'd want a good look at him first." "Yeah?" Rainbow asked. "Yep," Applejack confirmed. "It's the polite thing to do." She frowned as she approached the next tree. Squinting at the tree, she gave it a hard up-and-down look Rainbow had only seen on Twilight when checking a book for a particular fact. After a half-minute of quiet scrutiny, Applejack snorted and cocked her head angrily at the tree. "I ain't giving you 4 minutes of extra water, so you can just sulk," she snapped. Rainbow blinked. AJ, are you talking to me?" "Nah, Buford's giving me an attitude again, is all. Just ignore him. We got more deserving trees to attend." "What?" "Okay," Rainbow replied, following her friend across the rest of the orchard. Finding an opportunity to ask Scootaloo about seeing her parents wasn't an issue for Rainbow. The kid and her hung out a lot. Actually meeting them was not so easily accomplished. "They're cool with you," Scootaloo said the first time Rainbow asked. "I told them, and they're cool. Like, super cool. Like, the coolest cool that ever cooled. So, you don't have to check in with them, Rainbow Dash." "Today's bad," she said the second time. "They have the feather flu. It's really gross. I'm just really lucky. I never catch it. Just like you, Rainbow Dash." "That's no good either," she hedged the third time. "They're traveling that week. All week. Like, far, far away. They got me a sitter, but She smells funny. I don't want you smelling funny, Rainbow Dash. Sure, I can introduce you, she dragged on the fourth time. But Mom's making stewed radishes tonight, and I know those are your second least favorite food, and I can't have them serving you less than the best, Rainbow Dash. Rainbow flopped on the cloud over Sweet Apple Acres. Okay, no doubt here, she groaned. Scootaloo is totally blocking me from meeting her parents. She is? I can't do Apple Bloom's voice. Apple Bloom asked from below, while she sat in the cart. That's really weird. I know, Rainbow explained to the sky. I mean, I know some ponies can be funny about their folks, but I don't think I've ever been given the runaround like this. Did you try asking around? Applejack asked, hauling the cart with Apple Bloom in it towards the south orchard. Yeah, but that got weirder. Weirder how? Apple Bloom asked. Well, I tried Rarity and Fluttershy since they sit for the filly so often, but they don't know. Rarity thinks she's just a free-range filly, whatever that is. So I asked around town. Thunderlane thinks she's living in a box under a bridge, and Roseluck says Scootaloo always rides past her stall coming from the south where the orphanage is. Ain't the orphanage up in Canterlot? Applejack said. To the north? Yeah, I got an earful over that, Rainbow sighed. And from there it gets worse. She's a changeling spy. She's eating out of garbage cans. Rainbow shivered. So I came here, where every pony's sane. No pony's sane in Ponyville. You kidding, Rainbow? She reflopped on the cloud to make her point, draping a foreleg over her eyes. Why can't Scoots just tell me where she lives? Applejack shared a look with Apple Bloom, who shrugged. Well, you know that kid really looks up to you, Rainbow, Applejack said. More like mentions her every other sentence, Apple Bloom muttered, not as quietly as she thought. Apple Bloom, Applejack snapped. Sorry, sis, she said, shamefaced. You too, Rainbow Dash. It's cool, Rainbow said, rolling over to look at her from the cloud's edge. I know you're on Team Applejack. Darn tootin', Apple Bloom chirped, brightening in a second. Why, she's the most athletic, most honest, most terrificest. She's just the best big sis in the whole wide world. Rainbow laughed, smiling at Apple Bloom, who smiled at Applejack, who blushed a little. That's kind of you to say, sis, but it don't help Rainbow with her issue none, Applejack said, stopping the cart. Sorry, but I can't help, Apple Bloom replied, kicking a basket out so it fell beneath the tree. Scootaloo never really talks about home. Oh, and whenever we do sleepovers, me and Sweetie's house come up first. You know, Sweetie thinks Scootaloo secretly lives in the clubhouse. Huh, Rainbow said, rolling back over onto the cloud. Makes better sense than anything else I've heard. Yup, Apple Bloom said. She figures Scootaloo is really a 1,000-year-old immortal pony who took the shape of a Pegasus and is trying to help us get our cutie marks to save the world. Her secret base is the clubhouse, which turns into a fancy inner sanctum when no pony's looking. Rainbow poked her head over the edge of the cloud. Mouth open, eyes squinting in confusion. Really? Applejack said, rolling her eyes. Yep, Apple Bloom replied. I told her it was hooey, but she said it made sense if you look at it from a certain angle. Look, this is interesting and everything, Rainbow interjected, but how does this help me with Scootaloo? No pony knows where she lives, and I'm starting to get worried here. You could check the town archives, Applejack offered. Rainbow replied. Seems sneaky, which I'm for, but I'd be sneaky on Scootaloo, which I'm against. Ask Miss Shirley, Apple Bloom said. I know she has to have Apple Bloom's contact information in case I get stuck in a tree or something. Stuck in a tree? Rainbow asked. It happens, Applejack sighed. Shrugging, Rainbow mulled the option over. That feels a bit less sneaky. She thumped her hoof authoritatively. Okay, I'm gonna give the kid one more shot. This will just be a backup plan. I mean, this is me we're talking about. Maybe I've worn her down by now. 1 week passed, and Scootaloo was helping Dash set up a cloud course. She slumped, halted in the middle of passing a cloud up to Rainbow. Why do you keep asking? I said we're cool. Don't you believe me? Of course I believe you, kid, Rainbow replied, rubbing at her face. But it'd be a really good idea for me to at least touch base with your folks. What if you gotten seriously hurt when you took that fall? I need to know how to get in touch with them. But I told you that they're cool about it. And I wish I could take your word for it, kid. I really do. But this is some of that boring grown-up stuff. She pulled Scootaloo close, flashing her winningness smile. Look, I'll be quick. I show up, tell him how cool I am, and that I'm watching out for you. Boom, boom, boom. We're back and working on the training course and helping you strengthen your wings. Scootaloo furrowed her brow, looking stricken. Okay, Rainbow Dash. I wish I didn't have to admit this, but... Scootaloo took a breath and looked at Rainbow with imploring, sad eyes. I'm an orphan. Rainbow's expression fell flat. If Scootaloo was going to give her a runaround, two could play at that game. Oh no. I think I'll just ask Applebloom, she said, tilting her head. Ha! Good luck! Applebloom doesn't even know where my house is. Scootaloo said, pointing a hoof at Rainbow in victory. Maybe I'll ask Sweetie Belle. Maybe I'll ask Sweetie Belle, Rainbow said nonchalantly. Pfft, fat chance. Sweetie thinks I live in the treehouse, Scootaloo replied, triumphant. Rainbow regarded Scootaloo and raised an eyebrow. Shirley owes me a favor, she said. Ha! She's... Scootaloo froze. Her eyes widened. She latched onto Rainbow's face in an instant. Please don't talk to Miss Shirley. She has teacher cooties. Yeah, okay. Shirley it is, Rainbow said, removing the filly. Rainbow started walking to Shirley's house. Her progress was suddenly impeded by an added weight. Turning back, she found Scootaloo wrapped like a vice around her hind leg. Please don't ask Shirley, Rainbow Dash, Scootaloo begged. Please, please, please. Kid, I'm just talking to your parents. It's not that big of a deal. Rainbow started walking again, slightly slowed by the little filly attached to her leg. I know it's not. Of course it's not. I mean, they're just my parents, right? Scootaloo replied, adding a high-pitched laugh. Okay, Scoots, you're starting to freak me out here. Why would I be doing that? Scootaloo shrieked, her left eyelid twitching. I really don't know, Rainbow grumbled as she dragged a wailing Scootaloo through Ponyville. When Shirley's mare friend opened the door, Rainbow smiled. Wait, who is Raindrops? Research time. Okay, now I actually feel bad. Sorry. Hey boss, Raindrops said. Hey Raindrops, is Shirley in? Sure, she's... Raindrop's eyes stayed to the filly yanking on Rainbow's leg. She looked back to Rainbow, whose smile was fading. I'll go get her. She left the door open, and Rainbow looked back at Scootaloo, who was on the verge of creating a new judo maneuver. Shirley appeared without too much waiting. Why, hello there, Rainbow Dash, and Scootaloo. Scootaloo paused in her protestations long enough to greet her teacher. Hi, Miss Shirley. Shirley stared at Scootaloo, and then at Rainbow's expression. Is there something I can help you with? She asked. Do you have Scootaloo's contact info for her parents? Rainbow said, above Scootaloo's description of the horrible plagues awaiting. I've been trying to meet with them and to let them know I'm her honorary big sister now. Scootaloo hasn't told you where she lives? No! Scootaloo howled. What she said, Rainbow replied, pointing to the filly. Oh, well, I usually can't do that, but I think in this case... She looked at Scootaloo, who was now tugging in vain on Rainbow's tail. She smiled. I think I can make an exception. Just this one, of course. I appreciate it, Rainbow said flatly. As Shirley went to get the address, Rainbow looked over to Scootaloo. You gonna give up? Never! She bellowed. Rainbow smiled. Man, if we weren't honorary sisters, I swear we were real sisters. Scootaloo froze, dropping Rainbow's tail. She looked up at her, awed. Really? She whispered. You think we're sisters? Rainbow snorted, but her smile touched her eyes. Kid, the only other pony I've ever met who had your determination is this mare right here, Rainbow said, putting a feather at herself. Pinkie too, of course. That's gonna help you when you get older. Don't ever lose it. Wow, Scootaloo said, her tone reverent. The moment shattered as Cheerily reappeared in the doorway. Here we are, she sang, her teeth held together. In her teeth was a piece of paper with Scootaloo's home address written in loopy mouth writing. Thanks, Cheerily. I owe you. Hey! In a blink, Scootaloo had released Rainbow, zipped up between the adults, snatched the paper out of Cheerily's mouth, and run off, already out of Cheerily's yard. Scootaloo, you get back here! Rainbow yelled, turning briefly to the other adult. She said, Sorry, Cheerily, thanks. No problem, Cheerily called, as Rainbow launched off to catch Scootaloo. Scootaloo raced through town, Rainbow hot on her heels. Scootaloo, get back here! Rainbow yelled. It sounded more like a roar to the young pony, and she doubled her efforts to run, tucking the address between the feathers of her wings. She didn't want to run from her idol. She really didn't. But she really didn't want her to meet her parents either. She poured on the speed. If I only had my scooter, Scootaloo groaned, tears in her eyes. Pinkie? Hiya, Scootaloo, Pinkie said, bouncing alongside her. Who are you racing? I'm not racing any pony. I'm trying to hide from Rainbow Dash. Ooh, hide and seek. Let me show ya. Scootaloo was yanked sideways at mid-gallop, just as Rainbow flew into view. Arg! I thought I saw her, Rainbow snapped. She twisted in mid-air, left, then right, then took off in a new direction. Scootaloo stared in amazement as Rainbow Dash bolted away. She rose up from behind the bush with Pinkie and turned to her, mouth agape. How did you... Aw, Jassie's just really bad at hide-and-seek, Pinkie said, with a wave of her hoof. Like, both parts. She's more of a checkers mare. What? Still, it was fun playing with you, Scootaloo. Just as Pinkie was about to bounce away, Scootaloo waved her hooves. Wait! Pinkie froze midair. What? She asked, cocking her head. Can you show me all the best hiding places? Sure thing, Pinkie said, dropping back to the ground. But this means we'll never be able to play a game of hide-and-seek together, because if I show you all my secrets, then I won't have any secret hiding places for you anymore, and they're very... She got right next to Scootaloo, looking left, then right, and whispered, Secret! That's great, fine, Scootaloo said, pushing away from Pinkie. I just need to hide from Rainbow Dash, maybe for the rest of my life. Pinkie nodded approvingly. I see some fillies going for the hide-and-seek champion trophy. I like it. Let's get to learning. Pinkie beckoned Scootaloo along as they walked towards the park. Scootaloo watched Pinkie as she bounced along, not a care in the world. First drill, Pinkie said, still bouncing. Have your hiding spot picked before a pony can even count to 1. That way you're not running like you were from Dashy. Running? Why would I run from Rainbow Dash? Scootaloo squeaked. Pinkie looked over her shoulder at the shaking filly. Because you haven't found a hiding place yet? Scootaloo stared at Pinkie. Right. That's why, she said, glancing back over her own shoulder. Pinkie shrugged and bounced into the park, Scootaloo following closely. Do you really think I'm just hiding from Rainbow Dash? Scootaloo asked. Yep, because you're going to be the hide-and-seek champ from Ponyville. Well, second champ. Can't beat this mare here. I'm showing you all my tricks. Like this tree here. Nobody ever notices it for some reason. It's really weird. Pinkie hopped behind it and stuck her head out as if to prove her point. Yeah, Scootaloo said, looking at Pinkie's demonstration. What if, like, let's say that I'm not going for a hide-and-seek trophy? You're not? Pinkie gasped. But they're so pretty! And they come with cookie prizes! Cookie prizes, Scootaloo! Pinkie zipped back to lean over Scootaloo, her eyes wide, her expression earnest. Cookie prizes! Clearly, to Pinkie and Diane Pie, cookies were a serious business. That sounds pretty good, Scootaloo admitted. But what? Pinkie asked, backing up to tilt her head in interest. Have you felt like you had to hide from a pony? Like when you really admired? Like not as a game? Frowning, Pinkie sat on her rump of the ground. She tapped her mane in thought. Then she shook her head. Then she shrugged. Sorry, nope. If I'm hiding, it's because it's time for fun. Scootaloo sighed heavily. Well, this isn't fun, she said, kicking a pedal. I don't want to hide from Rainbow Dash.
Then don't hide, silly. Duh. Playing hide and seek when you don't want to is a bad game.
But it isn't that simple. She wants to know where I live. Pinkie blinked, then looked around as if she were going to spot a camera catching her in the middle of a prank.
Is that a bad thing?
She asked, looking back to Scootaloo. Very bad, Scootaloo said, giving Pinkie the same earnest look Pinkie had just given her. If she knows where I live, she'll know about my parents. Pinkie shrugged.
Still, I'm not seeing a downside here. I mean, I welcomed...
Don't! Scootaloo shouted, cramming her hoof in Pinkie's mouth. I can't let any pony know! She glanced over her shoulder to wave at a pair of passing mares who stared at them. Once they'd passed, Scootaloo removed her hoof.
Okay, I get it,
Pinkie said.
You're playing heart hide and seek.
Huh? Scootaloo said.
Heart hide and seek,
Pinkie said.
It's like regular hide and seek, only the opposite in fun. Because rather than hiding when somebody just can't find you, you're hiding in your heart. Only rather than you're hiding in your heart, you're hiding something else. They're like cupcake recipes or the location of the door with the best frosting. This just makes it hard for other ponies who are seeking, usually because they don't even know where they're supposed to be seeking, and when they do, they just move the thing in your heart around, which is totally cheating in hide and seek, but not in heart hide and seek. See, like, sometimes a pony plays heart hide and seek with me, but I'm the champ of all hide and seek, so I find where they're hid in their heart, and with talk and share a cupcake, we have fun again with regular hide and seek.
Pinkie spread her arms, streamers flying out from behind her. Oh my god, that was... Wow. Good job, author. She smiled back at Scootaloo for a second, then her expression saddened.
You're playing with Rainbow Dash, though, and she's not so good. You sound like you're already pretty good at hide and seek, so she's gonna be double not good at that.
Scootaloo stared at Pinkie.
How do you know all this stuff? A Pinkie's gotta know what a Pinkie's gotta know, she chirped. And this Pinkie knows ponies.
She booped Scootaloo on the nose.
And I know the ponies you're hiding in your heart aren't that bad. If you just called game over and showed Rainbow Dash where you're hiding them, then she'll be alright with it. Dashy's really super like that.
Scootaloo looked at her hooves, and then raised her head back to Pinkie.
You think so?
She asked.
I know so,
Pinkie declared, putting a supporting hoof around Scootaloo's shoulder.
So, you sure you want to be the champ of hide and seek in Ponyville? Or would you rather be the second champ of regular hide and seek? Guaranteed results, and it feels better too.
Scootaloo looked at Pinkie, then the piece of paper she had tucked in her wings. Then she thought about it. Hiding forever felt like a long time. She closed her eyes and took a breath.
So, no pony looks at that tree?
She said, indicating the tree Pinkie had just shown her.
None. It's the weirdest thing,
Pinkie said, smiling. I'm curious about this tree.
Got any other hiding places?
Scootaloo asked, showing a small smile of her own.
Sister,
Pinkie said, leading Scootaloo down a new path.
You've come to the right mare.
No more Pinkie. Yay. I love Pinkie, but her voice is so hard. Rainbow banged her head against the tree.
Applejack, are you going to stop her?
Applebloom whispered to her sister. Nah, Applejack replied. That's Beerford. Applebloom's eyes widened. Then she winked in understanding. After a few more bangs, Rainbow pulled back, eyes spinning. I shouldn't have gone to Cheerly, she proclaimed, wobbling back a few steps. So you said the last 3 times, Rainbow. How about giving us a little more here? Applejack asked. I asked Scoots one last time about her place, and she started making things up, Rainbow Dash said, shaking her head clear. To me, not cool. So I called her out on it and went and saw Cheerly, and Scoots totally flipped out. And that's when she outran you? Applejack said, winking at Applebloom. She didn't outrun me, AJ. She hid. If I wasn't so mad, I'd be impressed. I played hide and seek with Pinkie Pie, and Scootaloo could give her a run for her money. Who do you think taught me? The 3 ponies turned to see Scootaloo astride her scooter. She wore a new helmet and a worried expression. Scootaloo! Rainbow exclaimed. Hey, Rainbow Dash, Scootaloo said. She rubbed the back of her head. Sorry about yesterday. Sorry! Sorry! Rainbow exclaimed, zipping down to hover in front of the younger pony. You think sorry is going to cover how angry and scared you made me? Easy there, Sugar Cube, Applejack said, pulling on Rainbow's tail. It's okay, Applejack, Scootaloo said. She looked up into Rainbow's face. I'm not just here to apologize. I came to ask if you want to come over to my place. My parents are home right now. They'd like to meet you. Rainbow dropped, thudding on the ground. Huh? I thought about how you've been asking, and, well, no one really knows where I live. Not really. I talked with a friend of mine about it and decided I should stop hiding. Looking away from Rainbow, she noticed the other filly present. Hey, Applebloom, she said, smiling. Actually, I'm glad I ran into you. Next sleepover is going to be at my place. Cool? Yeah, that's totally cool, Applebloom replied. Scootaloo smiled wider, spinning her scooter around. She cocked her head at Rainbow. So, you coming or what? Rainbow shook her head, blinked a couple of times, and then set her expression in determination. Yeah, okay, kid, she said. Lead the way. Scootaloo revved her wings and took off down the path. Rainbow flew at a steady clip above her. That was really weird, Applebloom said. Yep, Applejack said. Buford dropped an apple. Scootaloo led Rainbow to a house she must have flown over 1,000,000 times, but never looked at twice. White pillars stood out against the soft red bricks of the sides and supported most of the second story. Noticing the launching beam sticking out of the roof, parallel to the ground, Rainbow figured a grown Pegasus lived there. With a second-story garden and fenced backyard, Rainbow could tell it was just as homely as her cloud house of her youth. Scootaloo hopped off her scooter and walked under the awning, veering off to park it beneath the front window. Putting her helmet on a nearby hook, she looked at Rainbow as though facing an executioner. Rainbow landed and cocked her head quizzically at Scootaloo. This isn't that bad, Rainbow said. Pretty nice place, actually. Scootaloo blinked. Huh? Oh, yeah, it's a good house, I guess. Applebloom's has more history. That whole family has more history, Rainbow said, rolling her eyes. I know dirt hasn't been around as long as the apples. Scootaloo laughed. Rainbow looked at the door. So, we doing this? Rainbow asked. Yeah, we are, Scootaloo said. Can you just... I'm sorry to ask, but Rainbow, can you please keep an open mind? It's going to be kinda intense in there. I don't want you thinking that my parents are all me, you know? Rainbow tossed her mane and struck a confident pose. No worries, kid, she said, draping a forearm across Scootaloo's back. No matter what happens, you're cool in my book. Ah, Scootaloo whispered, her eyes wide. She was cool in Rainbow Dash's book. She could face anything now. Feeling invigorated, Scootaloo nodded and walked to the front and opened the door. Rainbow took a breath and stepped in behind her to see a living room. They stood just at the landing next to a living room with a pale green couch, and a smaller red couch, and a fireplace. Bookcases were prominent, holding quite a few board games in addition to books. She could see a few framed pictures crowding the walls, done up in dark green. I'm home, Scootaloo called. Rainbow's attention was taken from what had to be a baby photo of Scootaloo's as hoof steps came clip-clopping down the stairs. Back on the farm... No! Back on the farm, Applejack loaded up the last of the day's apples into the cart. She heard the flap of familiar wings and turned to see a dazed-looking Rainbow Dash landing on one of Buford's branches. What? No, I want to know what happened. No! Hey there, Sugar Cube. Everything go well? Yeah, it went fine. No, don't be vague, Rainbow. Rainbow reached beneath her wings and gave Applejack a piece of paper with an address and a pair of names on it. This is from Scoots' mom's, in case anything happens when she goes around. Yes! Haha! Gotcha, Applejack replied, looking at the paper before slipping it under her hat. Hitching herself to the cart, she turned to Rainbow. Well, I gotta haul these back inside. You gonna tell me what they're like? In just that short amount of time, Rainbow's gaze had grown distant, and she only snapped back when she realized that Applejack was talking to her. Huh? She said. I'm going in, Rainbow, Applejack slowly. Walk with me and tell me about meeting Scootaloo's moms. Oh, sure, right. Her expression still thoughtful, Rainbow hopped down from the branch and landed next to Applejack. They walked in companionable silence for a minute. "What were your parents like, AJ?" Rainbow finally asked. A little nonplussed that her friend was dodging her question, Applejack sighed, but still answered. "Well, my ma was quiet, strong type, like Mac. He was always a bit of mama's colt, too. Dad was, well, he was more like me. Always chatting, being sociable. He's the one asked Ma out, you see. She didn't think she was that pretty, but Dad said he never saw a more attractive mare." She chuckled. "There were farm folk otherwise, hard-working, fair-minded. Why ask?" "'Cause my mom wasn't much like me," Rainbow replied. "She was more like Rarity, but she always stuck up for me, always encouraged me. Dad and I had more in common since we were both sports fans, but he's kinda lazy." She walked silently. "But still, Mom was energetic, and Dad said I could be a great athlete too, so I can kinda see where I came from. I can kinda see where you came from too." Applejack raised an eyebrow at this philosophical Rainbow Dash by her side. "So?" she asked. "I have no idea where Scootaloo became Scootaloo." Back at her home, Scootaloo's mom, Radiant Mind, picked up the dishes.
"Well, she seems like a nice pony," Radiant said. I'm glad she's so supportive of your athletics, dear."
"Rainbow Dash is the coolest pony in Ponyville, Mama Rad," Scootaloo said. "I hope I can be just as awesome as her someday." "That's our girl," said Scootaloo's other mom, Mama Autumn Song. "You shoot for the moon, little Will." Muttering, she added, "Even if the moon only reads Daring Do."
"Come on, Autumn," Radiant replied. "Just because you're not a big fan of Daring Do doesn't mean the books are bad."
"That series is dead to me, Rad. Dead!" Autumn emphasized the point by spreading her wings. "Wagon Train to the Stars has been going on just as long and still maintains a solid story every book. Meanwhile, Rainbow Dash is all about the formula of the now and doesn't even care."
"I don't disagree, but I was fine with the change in direction. You don't have to toss out your commemorative hat and burn the cosplay pictures."
"Yes, I did," Autumn retorted. "You did the same when you were done with your Batman comics. We only have one figurine now."
"I gave all that to charity, Autumn," Radiant said, with a sigh and a smile. "Young fillies need comics and action figures, and I hadn't touched them in years. Besides, Daring's just good candy fiction, like my Blackstone Files books. It's more about the adventure than anything else."
"Pfft, adventure! More like weak sauce," Autumn said, rolling her eyes. Scootaloo sighed, resting her hoof against her head. Her parents were such dorks. Egg-headed, silly dorks. But maybe they weren't so bad. After all, Rainbow had really gotten into Daring Do with Mama Autumn and really liked Mama Rad's nickname. So if Rainbow could get on with her folks, maybe Scootaloo could too? Sure, she wasn't an egghead like they were, but they loved her and she loved them, and that's what should matter the most. If Rainbow's okay with them, maybe she could bring them to the Parents' Day at school, rather than say she didn't sign up. Maybe.
Ooh! Now that we finally know Rainbow Dash, maybe we can get an inside track with Twilight Sparkle," Autumn said. "She'll have access to all the best books."
Radiant grinned wide.
"I think I just had a literary wing moment, dear. And I'm an Earth Pony."
Radiant and Autumn snorted in laughter as Scootaloo buried her face in her hooves.
On second thought, maybe Scootaloo could just introduce her friends at the next sleepover. Yeah. Start small and work her way up.
Author's note.
Thanks as always to my shieldmate and editor, Jess. The story wouldn't have had the heart to it without you, Chandra.
That was Scootaloo, Where Are Your Parents? By Manashi Jones.
Wow, that was great. I loved it. Anyway, I hope you did too. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.